think, act, and prosper. You are now tuned into the Money Level Show.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Money Level Show, where we think, act, and prosper. And today I want to talk to you about some new news that has been coming out that even makes me even more bullish on things like Bitcoin and gold, right? But before we get to that, I want you all to consider clicking the link in the description below. This link is for Webull. So Webull has a special going on until March 31st where you can receive 5 free stocks. Yes, 5 free stocks. Now, this is free money. So if you like free money, be sure to click that link below. We'll both actually receive free money. So I think that we all can come up together, and be able to make a profit in this world and achieve financial freedom. So without further ado, let's get into this article. Now, some of the things that's been going on with the whole sanctions on Russia and everything is that the G7 has come out and they said they want to sanction Russia and try to prevent them from using their gold in transactions. Now, this is where governments come together and they're trying to force them to be able to do something with a neutral asset that not one country has control over. Now, when you think about the US dollar, when you think about these other currencies, they have control over those and they can come out and say, oh, you can't use our currency for X, Y, and Z. However, the dollar being the reserve asset, the reserve currency should be able to be used regardless by anyone. And even Jim Rogers spoke to this and said that, we lost our impartiality with the dollar and we're using the dollar as a weapon. And the dollar should be a neutral reserve currency for anyone to be able to use, right? It should be apolitical. Now, let's go ahead and get into this article. So the U.S. announces new sanctions while G7 restricts Russian central bank's use of gold. I don't know how they're going to do that. I mean, Russia has the gold in their vaults and whatnot. So how are you going to restrict them from using the gold? How are you going to restrict them from trading with another country that wants to do business with Russia? I mean, like China, Turkey, wherever. I mean, how are you going to restrict that? I mean, you can't, right? I mean, you can only talk and give lip service, and that's what I think. So the G7 is like some of the top 7 countries or whatnot, and you got the G20. They're talking about getting the Russia out of the G20 and stuff, and the G7 is like, oh, these are the top leaders and stuff, and I mean, they were great at some point, but they're not as great as they used to be. I mean, they have a lot of debt and all those different things. And now we're starting to see these commodity and currency wars that's happening right now. So a group of 7 leaders have announced they are restricting the Russian central bank's use of gold in transactions, while the U.S. announced new round of sanctions targeting more than 400 elites and members of the Russian State Duma. Previously, sanctions against Russian elites, the country's central bank, and President Vladimir Putin did not impact Russia's gold stockpile, which Putin has been accumulating for several years. Russia holds roughly $130 billion in gold reserves, and the Bank of Russia announced February 28th that it will resume the purchase of gold on the domestic precious metals market. So Russia's saying like, hey, we're still going to be buying gold. You can't control it. You can't control us. You can't stop us from buying gold, all those different things. So this is getting out of hand. I mean, it's still going on, and these sanctions, quite frankly, aren't doing anything. They're still, Russia's still invading. They're still doing what they're doing, and these sanctions aren't really doing anything. It's just showing like, okay, how much teeth do you really have, with these sanctions? And there's a saying that says sanctions are for losers. So, I mean, we'll see. So now the other news is that Russia opened up and said, hey, we're open to selling natural gas and oil for Bitcoin. Now, this is a new one that came out earlier, and this news is very, very interesting, right? It's very, very interesting. So Russia is open to accepting Bitcoin for its natural resource exports, and Zavalny explained that Russia is open to accepting different currencies for its exports, beginning with natural gas, depending on the buyer's preferred method of payment. So they came out and said they're open to, accepting Bitcoin. So this is Bitcoin Magazine, right? CoinDesk says the same thing, that Russian lawmakers suggest nation could accept Bitcoin for oil payments. Now, so they're coming out and they're saying the same thing. So Bitcoin could be one alternative Russia might accept as payment for oil and other resources. So this is what the Duma said. He also said something interesting right here. He says, if they want to buy, let them pay either in hard currency, and this is gold for us. So Russia's saying that hard currency is gold, right? Or pay as it is convenient for us. So they're talking about they have to pay in rubles. So this would actually, pump up the ruble. We all know the ruble actually took a big fall when these sanctions hit. And Russia's saying like, hey, if you want our natural gas and oil, you got to pay us in gold or you got to pay us in rubles. And he also mentioned that cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, could actually be used as well as a potential. He says the set of currencies can be different, and this is normal practice, so you can also trade Bitcoins. Now, CNBC says the same thing, right? And we know it's official when CNBC comes out and says it, right? Russia is considering selling its oil and gas for Bitcoin as sanctions intensify from the West. Now, some of the interesting things in these articles is that you have these narratives, right? So some of the narratives are, CNBC, they've been touting Bitcoin for a while. You have CoinDesk, you have Bitcoin Magazine, which obviously focuses on Bitcoin and will promote Bitcoin over gold. But when you look at what the Russian Duma said, he said, if they want to buy, let them pay either in hard currency, and this is gold for us, or pay as it is convenient for us. Now, Russia's saying like, hey, we'll take gold. They already said they're buying more gold last year and everything. But when you look at these articles, they're not really going to acknowledge that, right? They're not going to acknowledge gold. Like when you see gold in the main article or the headline, is people really going to read it? Are they really going to open the article? But if they see Bitcoin, they're going to open the article, right? But when you read it, you see that they're talking about gold and they're considering Bitcoin. It's even tight that they're considering it. I'm bullish on both. I own both. I own more gold than I own Bitcoin, but I actually mine Bitcoin. I stack Bitcoin. I hodl it. I think that it's a good store of value, and we'll see if time, test it and we see if it's still around in the next however many years. But, I know that I have gold as a hedge as well because gold has been around 5,000 years. But when you see these articles, they're not going to acknowledge gold like that. So that even makes me more bullish on gold because gold is still the hated asset and they're still trying to tout Bitcoin. So, yeah, let me know what you think in the comments below. Hit the like button. Be sure to hit the subscribe. Be sure to click that Webull link if you haven't yet. I want to appreciate y'all for joining the Money Level Show, and I hope that y'all have a good day. Peace.